Not a great look for Daniil Medvedev. So Medvedev is out of the US Open, but that's not exactly the big news. The big news came in the third set. He was match point down, and his opponent Bonze, I think that's how you say his name, he served, it was called a fault. So he was doing his warm up in his routine, about to serve his second serve, and a photographer was ended up not coming directly onto the court, but off the side of the court was running, and the umpire called a halt and stoppage to the play, and he awarded Bonze a second serve, and he awarded him a first serve in that moment, and my goodness, Medvedev completely lost it. He went up to the umpire, the crowd were booing, and he was saying to the umpire, are you a man? And he's now set to get probably a hefty fine, and so not only is he out, which obviously sucks for him and his season, which I'll get onto in a minute, but he's obviously going to be fined for his actions, which were out of order, I have to say that. And obviously the crowd don't help with their reaction. And, Medvedev, we've kind of seen in recent years that he has this tendency to just explode in moments, and he's never always had a great relationship with any crowd, really. And that was proven again. But I think there is a bigger picture here, which I'll get into in a minute. So here's just a quick brief look at his season. Well, not the whole season, but the slams in particular. And it's not been great whatsoever. Obviously, he's been knocked out virtually nearly every round, with the exception of the Australian Open. But again, he lost in the second round, and it has been a very, very disappointing campaign for him. And I don't really know where he goes, because, and this, I'll come to the bigger picture now. The big picture is there are two individuals who on their day, well, not even on their day, could be playing 50%, and they're just that much better than he is. And that is Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. And those two guys are heads and shoulders above everyone else, as we all know. But for Daniil Medvedev, I really think that his time of winning any major has come to an end. It's a bit of a shame, I think, because for me, I actually really, really do like his game. It's just obviously the characteristics, the personality is ultimately what rub people the wrong way. And as we can kind of see, his big moment did come when he stopped Djokovic. Well, Djokovic was one game away from doing something that no one in tennis had done since Rod Laver, and winning all 4 slams in one calendar year. And that was probably a horrible day for the Djokovic fans. I really remember that day, because that was, I will admit, back then I was probably more naive and really didn't want Djokovic to win. But just on Medvedev, we'll move past that. Medvedev, he's at the peak of his career. He's 29 years old, and if he's ever going to win another slam, these are going to have to be the conditions, I think. 1, it's going to have to be on a hard court, and 2, it's going to have to be a tournament where there is no Alcaraz and no Sinner, which is very, very unlikely. So that's why I was kind of made the statement, which may be a big statement, but I think it's one that we can sit here and hold true, that his time at the top could be gone already. Now, don't get me wrong, I think he's got the ability and quality to get back near the top. Whether or not he'll ever be good enough to compete with Alcaraz and Sinner, because their level right now, I mean, I disagree with many of the comments made about those guys when they're getting compared to the big 3 or big 4, which way you want to look at it. But one thing I will say is that those guys will probably end up with statistics, accomplishments, and overall careers which will put them in similar conversations and similar lights as those few players that we've seen in this past generation. So for Medvedev, it's a huge ass mountain to climb, and I just don't think he's got it in him to do so. The ability in the game, again, I very much enjoy. I think he's unique in so many aspects with the way he plays, and he's given me personally so many incredible moments and matches to stay up. Just a couple of the matches he had in the Slam finals with Nadal, the US Open one. I remember I was lying in bed watching that. It was like, it was a Sunday night. I had college the next day, and I was like so happy. Nadal was like 2 sets up. I was going to go to bed a good time and wake up nice and early, and I ended up being awake for like another 2 or 3 hours, and it went super early into the morning, and that match was quite something. And then fast forward to the one in the Australian Open where Nadal won his second Australian Open, another classic match between the pair of them. So I think he's a splendid player. It's just he's got, as I said, he's got a long road, and I don't think he's going to get there. But I would really like to see him, if he could just rein in his personality a bit and try to kind of get on the good side of the crowd and play less likely into them, because the crowd love it when there's a tennis player who riles them up, or not riles them up, but who does something which they can easily give a reaction to. I mean, they love that because they feed into it. And obviously this news and headlines with him and what happened during that match has made all the papers, and he's got his team will have a lot of PR work to do.